Assalamu alaikum salah. Just before we begin, if you support the Young Smirks podcast and you want to help support the channel, please go to the Patreon below and support us monthly so we can keep up with the shows. We've got lots of content coming up. We're going to have special content specifically for the Patreons, as well as a new series on Hijrah, inshallah. So please go to the Patreon below and support the podcast. Assalamu alaikum salah.
إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum salam. Welcome to the Young Smirks podcast. I've got a very special guest, Abdul Majid, all the way from Brazil.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Assalamu alaikum, bro. How's it going?
Alaikum assalam.
Alhamdulillah. So I met you first in Turkey,
Yeah.
and then we recently went to the World Cup, didn't we? I met you in the World Cup in
Yeah, that was
Qatar as
so
well.
cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, so maybe we can speak a bit about the World Cup later.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to speak about a little bit about your story and your journey to Islam,
Oh.
because you know you were not always a Muslim.
No.
You converted to Islam or reverted to Islam. You became a Muslim, and you're also active in Dawah now. So I
Alhamdulillah.
wanted to speak a little bit about what you're doing and some of your experiences in Dawah as well. So first of all, whereabouts in Brazil are you from?
What part of Brazil
Yeah,
I'm
what
coming
part-
from?
what-
Well,
what-
like again, the southeast of Brazil. There is a state called Espírito Santo. I'm from there. But I come from like a really small town. So we don't have any Muslims there. No mosques, no nothing.
So
Yes.
Espírito Santo, what does that mean?
Holy Ghost.
The Holy Ghost. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm taking it people are quite Catholic, quite religious there.
Well, maybe
or-
back in the day, but these days, like just on paper.
It's just it's
Just
kind
on
of
paper.
You know, I went to the Brazilian World Cup
Mhm.
when the World Cup was in Brazil, and a lot of people identify or they might say they're Catholic, but in reality, I found that most people don't actually believe that.
Oh yeah, it's just part of the culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that you were assigned at birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just go on with it.
But when you dig a bit
Yes.
deeper, they don't actually believe the Catholic things. You
Oh
know?
no.
You find a lot of them
Um,
actually believe in one God and
Maybe
things
like
like
they
that.
do believe in Allah,
Yeah.
but they don't actually practice
Yeah.
their faith.
they don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a Christian family or?
Yeah, my father is actually a deacon of the Catholic Church.
Oh, wow.
Yes, my family is quite mixed.
Right.
My grandfather was a spiritualist. My father is a deacon. I have a cousin who's a priest.
Oh wow.
I have an uncle who's an evangelist pastor. My brother is married to an atheist. I'm the first Muslim of the family. Yeah.
So how did your family react when you became a Muslim?
I was quite shocked. I thought that my mom was going to be really open-minded and that my father was not going to be okay with it. But it was the opposite, actually. My father came up to me and he said, "Well, look, when you were little, I taught you what I think is right. But now you're a grown-up man, so go ahead and follow your own path, your life, the way that you want to do this."
And
Yes.
he's a deacon as well.
Yeah, but my mom, on the other hand, it was a scandal.
Wow.
So it took me a while to get through to her,
Yeah.
but now she's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot. It's worrying for some people because they don't know what Islam is, and it's such a foreign thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
so
especially my
is it-
mom. I remember one day sneaking up behind her, and then I saw her like checking something about ISIS online, and the moment that she heard me coming, like she closed it.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and then I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like she's worried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's done out of love. You know, she's worried because she
Yeah,
loves you. and-
Mama Bear. Yes.
Yeah. So alhamdulillah. So how did you find Islam in Brazil?
Again, if you're Brazilian, obviously you do learn about Islam in high school. It's
Okay.
something that we learn about different religions. We learn about Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, and you name it. But when you do this in school, like it's something that's just on paper. You're just studying it because you want to pass. Yes.
Yeah.
But I was on the internet one day, just on a website, like talking to people from different countries. And then I met some people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco. And they happened to be Muslim. Yes. Up until then, I was just looking to make friends and to learn about different cultures. But again, sometimes I was talking to them and then they're like, hey, can you give me 5 minutes? I have to go do my prayer. And then I'm like, oh, that you pray. That's different. Yes, you practice. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait for you. Sometimes I was talking to them and they were like, hey, my mom is calling me. I have to see what she wants. Your mom is calling you. How old are you? Yeah. They respect their parents.
Yeah.
And also like the Quran, they don't just read the Quran, which is very unusual for a Christian. Like Christians, they don't read the Bible. They just pick and choose the verses that they like, and then they go with them. But these guys, they memorize the whole book. And then I was like, oh my God,
Dedication, isn't it?
yes, that's really
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, up and then it was just like a friendship. But one day, I met a guy from Saudi Arabia who, right from like the beginning of the conversation, he was asking me about my religion. And then I was feeling like a little awkward by that because in Brazil, religion and politics, these are things that are very personal. We might disagree on certain things, but we don't speak about it because we want to live at peace. Yes?
Yeah.
But then he was being very blunt with me. And then I was just like, okay, maybe this guy's like one of those Jehovah's Witnesses, like he wants to convert me, yeah? And then he was like, what is a religion? And I'm like, I'm Christian, but I'm not practicing. Oh, you're a Christian? You're going to hell.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we're like, what? Like, that's crazy. Like, why would you say this to me? Like, I know that I'm not a saint, but I'm not an evil person, am I? So why am I going to hell? Well, because you're not Muslim. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah.
And then he gave me dawah. As he was doing this, I really got the feeling that he was trying to convert me.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just wanted to avoid these topics, but he kept coming back to them. Yes.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'll just everything that he's saying, and at the end of the conversation, he's gonna leave me. I'll go my way. He's gonna go his. Maybe I'll block him. I don't want to talk to him again. Yeah. And then he popped the question at the end. Would you like to be Muslim? Just like taken aback, like, what? Did you really do that? Oh my God! Now what do I say? Like, I don't know. That's something else. So I tried to change the topic to see if he's going to forget it, but he didn't. Again, he kept coming back to it. So I told myself, you know what? I'll do what he wants. Let's make him happy. And then I'll look into that later. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to that. It just means that I'm not feeling comfortable right now. But let's do this then. So I was like, do you want money from me? Like, do I have to like any baptism? What do you want?
What's the catch? Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like, no, you just have to say something after me, and that's it. And I was like, so let's do this then. So he brought a friend into the conversation. We did a group call on Skype. Yes, and they taught me how to take the Shahada. I did it, and then after that, they told me, congratulations, you're Muslim now. Obviously, I didn't feel Muslim back then because I didn't do this sincerely as it should have.
You just
been.
kind of said it just to go with the flow.
Just to get rid of him. Yes, but then they told me about this website where I could put in my address, and they were gonna send me some books from Saudi Arabia to Brazil as a gift. In the beginning, I didn't feel comfortable because again, you don't just like give your address to strangers. Yes. But then I thought, well, they're in Saudi Arabia on the other side of the ocean. What are they going to do with my Brazilian address? Yes. So I decided to give it a go. And then the books came. And then I'm like, it's not going to kill me if I go through them. Yes. So I did this. And then I suddenly like started to feel like I'm really Muslim.
Subhanallah.
Yes. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I can carry this on. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go with the basics first. I didn't know how to pray because again, in my city, there was nobody to teach me. They sent me a booklet that teaches you how to pray, but it was a nightmare because like they use a lot of Arabic terms. Go into sujood, and I'm like, what is sujood? Do the ruku', I don't know what ruku' means. Do the taslim, what is taslim? It was just so hard to read it. Yes. Yeah. So plus they taught me after that I had to pray in Arabic, and then I'm like, in Arabic, that's insane. Like it's like I'm reciting something in Chinese or Japanese. So I kept postponing the prayer for a while, and decided to go with not eating pork, not drinking alcohol, maybe like sleeping, not sleeping on my belly, for example, like saying Bismillah before eating. I went on like this, and then maybe like 8 months later, I remember like Ramadan coming, and then I'm like, I'll be fasting now. I don't know how I'm going to do this, yes, but I'll fast inshallah. Then I found this YouTube channel. It's a playlist actually that teaches you how to pray like really slowly. It goes syllable by syllable. Bis, mi, La.
Yeah.
Bismillah. It goes on like this,
Yeah.
yes? And then I remember that it took me like around a week to memorize everything that I had to say.
So,
And after that, it was basically just me watching like videos of people praying and doing what they were doing, following their movements.
so was you using the laptop while you was praying? Because
Yeah, I was
did
using
that.
my iPad.
I
Like
did
I
the
was
same
like
thing,
sitting
yeah.
there, and sometimes
I had
would
the
forget.
laptop kind of
Yes,
there, I'm like,
what do I do now?
Yeah.
Poof, let me take a peek.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
subhanallah.
then like again, I
This is
started like,
amazing. I mean, so you know, you kind of when you initially took Shahada, it wasn't really done
no,
with knowledge or sincerity.
no.
It was like, you know what, a bit pressured. To do it here,
Yes,
a bit
I
of-
was pressured
you know.
into it.
But
Yes.
then when you actually like had a look at the books, you thought, well, actually, I believe it.
I felt like maybe it could belong to
Wow.
something bigger. Yes,
Subhanallah.
I had tried a different, a couple of different religions before I became Muslim. Yes, but none of them made me feel like I was, I don't know, like religious enough.
So you always believed in a creator. You were never
Yeah,
atheist.
I was always like very religious.
You're
I grew up
always-
as a
yeah.
Catholic because of my father. But when I hit my chains, I decided to go and try something different, which is completely different, like Wicca.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Harry Potter, so I wanted to try something new. But after a year, I decided that was not for me. It was something darker than
Yeah.
I thought.
Wow.
Then I left it. Then my sister, who's a Protestant, she invited me to come to church with her. And there, I remember like the pastor asking if anyone wanted to accept Jesus. And then my sister like raised my arm. Yes. And then again, now I have to do this. Like there are a lot of people looking at me. Yes. Again, I started like coming to church with her, and then I'm like, maybe this is my call in life. But 2 years later, I dropped it. I didn't feel that. I lost that sparkle that I had in my eyes the first time that I went there. Then I told myself, you know what? I believe in God. It's something that I know that I believe in God. Yes, but I'm not finding myself. So from now on, it's just gonna be me and God, and that's it. And then I met Muslims, and then they gave me dawah, like again. And, you
So
know.
what was the main thing about Islam which you're like, this is definitely the truth, like I found it now. It's not going to be another phase, I'm not going to move on to another religion.
Because it's been almost been
Yeah.
almost 10 years that
Yeah.
I took my shahada. I'm 28
Mashallah.
now. I did it when I was 19. If
Mashallah.
I had to leave it, I think it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been
So what is
a
it
while.
that's keeping you all these years?
Okay, there are two things. Something that attracted me was, like, again, the sincerity. Growing up as a Christian, I think you were Christian before, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah.
Yes?
I never believed in Jesus, Jesus was God, but I was raised, I went to church,
Yeah,
I followed
basically,
it,
you were just
basically, yeah.
Christian by name.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you don't practice it. And,
Yeah, I
and,
didn't
and you go to
believe
church
it,
on
yeah.
Sundays, and
Yeah.
then they are preaching all of those things that they don't practice themselves.
Exactly, yeah.
So, a lot of people actually become atheists because of this. Yes?
Yeah.
It's
It's true, I always say the biggest cause of atheism is Christianity.
Yeah.
Because, people just fall out with the Bible.
They lose their faith because
Yeah.
they're like, it's,
And it's the only religion they know, and they just associate Christianity with God.
yeah.
And they don't think there's a possibility of another religion being true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just maybe something that doesn't cross their minds. It's
Yeah.
something really big. Like I grew up as a Christian, so I have to be Christian
Yeah.
at the end. So again, when I met Muslims, I saw that they were not like that. They really practice what they preach, and when they're committing haram, they don't try to change the book to
Yeah.
not look bad in front of people. Like if you go up to a Muslim who drinks alcohol, for example, he knows that he's wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you come up to me to him and ask him about this, he's gonna tell you, look, I'm wrong. It's not the book.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
me. Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a problem.
When Christianity, they change it up.
Yeah, they try to say, well, you're in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to do this anymore. Life is different now. Yes, we
Yeah.
follow the New Testament. Jesus died for our sins. We don't have to follow these things anymore. So again, one was the sincerity. The second one is, again, because I've always been religious, I do believe in hereafter. Yes, and personally, I feel like life sucks. Yes, no matter how good it might be right now, there are always like these moments where bad things happen, and then you just like start questioning yourself, like, why am I doing this? Yes, but in Islam, you do know that there is a hereafter, and that if you don't work for it, then something worse is gonna happen on the other side. So I'm like one of those students that sit in the back, like, look, I basically don't want to suffer on the other side.
You know, this is a beautiful thing because, you know, psychology of humans, we all driven in different ways.
Yeah.
You know, some people are driven by like the prospect of a reward.
Yes.
Some people are driven by the prospect of not getting money.
Yes, that's me.
You know,
That's
and
basically me.
Allah uses both examples in the Quran.
Yeah,
right?
that's because if it was just like the rewards for
Yeah.
me, okay, I don't need them. It's fine.
But for you, it's about the fear of the
Yes,
hellfire.
yes.
Wow.
So like I really just want to, like die in peace and not suffer on the other side. So this is what drives me.
May Allah protect all of us from the hellfire
Ameen.
and allow us to be successful. Ameen.
I mean,
So you know, you've been Muslim 10 years, mashallah. You know, you've got family members from different parts. How is generally, like, because the view I got in Brazil is very different to the UK and the West.
Yeah.
You know, the Western European countries. I didn't feel like they had a negative view of Muslims. You know, like in for instance, England, America, we have a lot of propaganda against Islam.
Yeah.
And so generally the general public, like, really against Muslims. But I didn't really get that feeling as much in Brazil. Is that correct?
Yeah, well,
Or-
again, it goes with, again, the number of Muslims that we have in Brazil. It's less than 1% of the population.
Okay,
So
it's-
most Brazilians don't even know what Islam is. They just know it by name. They, like, like suicide bombers and these things. But they don't know anything about Islam. They studied about it in high school, but it goes here, out here. Yes?
Yeah.
So one, they don't know anything about it. Two, they don't get to live with Muslims and see how they live their lives. Three, again, religion is something really, really personal. So you don't discuss it.
Right.
It's something, even if with like close friends, it's something that you try to avoid. Yeah?
So in the Brazilian culture, they don't really discuss these things.
No. And four, I would say, would be maybe, again, if you come as a tourist and you don't try to convert them, that's one thing. But the moment they look at you as a Jehovah's Witness, that's when this, like the whole thing is going to change. Yes?
Yeah.
So they don't love you, they don't hate you. Like, you're just there. If you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you. Now, which is not to say that, hatred towards Islam doesn't exist there. I would say that this comes more from the Protestants than from the Catholics. Catholics tend to be more peaceful.
Right.
Protestants, they tend to be more imposing of their faith. Yeah?
Right.
So the moment they see you praying outside, for example, they might come up to you and tell you, you have to accept Jesus. Like, if you keep doing this, you're going to go to hell.
And what's the origin of the Protestant churches there? Where does it come from exactly?
Oh, mine, that's history.
'Cause
yeah, well, I think that...
Because it wouldn't be from the British.
Again, don't quote me on that. I do know that I studied in high school, but I forgot. I do remember, though, there are some books from the Bible that Protestants do not accept. Yes? So their Bible is shorter.
Yeah.
Plus, they don't follow a tradition like as much as Catholics do. Yes? When you go to a Catholic church, you know exactly what to expect. Throughout the year, they have like a schedule. Like, today we're going to do this. The next day, this is going to happen. Yes? But Protestants are much more spontaneous. They come to church. You can maybe like they are thinking about talking about something, but then something else happens. Yes?
Yeah, because obviously the Catholicism, came with the Portuguese, to Brazil.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting now. I'm going to do some research on that. I'd like to know how the Protestant churches actually came into Brazil. That's interesting.
Actually, there's a book in this center that I didn't know about before. It speaks about the slaves that were brought to Brazil by the Portuguese from Africa.
A lot of them were Muslims.
Yeah, I didn't know. This is something they don't teach you at school.
Yeah, I'd like to see that book. Yeah.
Yes.
I knew about this because do you remember Abu Ibrahim, the brother from the UK we met in Qatar?
From Islam House or
no? He's from the UK. He's a student in Medina and he speaks Portuguese. You must have met him.
Oh yes, I remember him. Yeah.
Because he speaks about this as well, and he's done some research on this about the Muslims who were taken.
Yeah, I think this would be good for dawah, right there. Yes, because again, we don't know about these things. It's something which is funny because I learned about this in Turkey, on the other side of the ocean. Yes.
So let's speak a little bit about your dawah. Being Muslim 10 years, you when did you get involved in actually calling people to Islam?
So, as I told you, in my city, we don't have any Muslims there. I found a website called the New Muslim Academy, and there they teach you how to be Muslim, like step by step. Then there was like a place, I remember, where I found some information saying that you have to give dawah, that it's compulsory in Islam, especially my situation. Like I was in a place where there were no Muslims. So I told myself, how am I going to do this now? I can't just go outside and talk to people. Yes, it's a small place. Everybody knows everyone. You see, so how am I going to do this? So I thought for a while, and then I came to the conclusion that I should start a YouTube channel. Yeah. Islam says if you know even one verse, teach it. That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not a scholar, but okay, let me teach them what I know.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with, like some introductions. I'll tell them my experience in Brazil as a new Muslim, yes, in Portuguese. I did it for a while, and then some Egyptian guys from that website where I met the guy from Saudi Arabia, they saw me and they were like, hey, we have a dawah page. We need someone who speaks Portuguese. Could you become a translator? I'm like, okay, I can help you guys. That like rids me of the obligation of giving dawah. Yes, again, I'm driven by the punishment side of this. Yes. So I'll do this then. And then I made a video one day explaining why Muslims don't eat pork. Okay. Then the Egyptian guys decided to sponsor my video, and like they paid for ads, ads on Facebook.
To make it go more viral.
It went viral. Okay. And then I remember like waking up the next day with all of these messages on my, like in my inbox. So and so subscribe to your channel. So and so subscribe. I got so many subscribers after that, and then I'm like, oh my god, now it's on. Okay, so then I made another video, and then another video, boom. Now I'm Abdul Bajid, the Brazilian guy, who became Muslim. So I got involved with the community. I got a lot of messages from like Islamic centers in Brazil. I did get very criticized as well because my style is very different. I like to make jokes. It's due to the culture. You see, Brazilians, if you're too formal, they're not going to pay attention to you. Yes? So I had to find a way to stand out. So I created this character where I would make jokes, mix dawah with jokes, and I was trying to do this in a nice way that fits Brazilian culture. Yes? So 6 years after that, these Egyptian guys decided to invite me over for Ramadan. Yeah? So I came for Ramadan. I was only supposed to stay there for 3 months. When I got there, I felt like my soul is Egyptian.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, that was.
Did people think you were Egyptian as well?
Yeah, like
because if you paid,
yes, like if I kept my mouth shut in Egypt, they didn't know that I was not Egyptian. Yes, of course, like if I was wearing something more, like Western, they would know. But like if I was wearing like a jalabia or traditional clothes, they would think 100% this guy is from here. Yes. Yeah. I was actually accused of being a spy once because of this. Because they're like, you are from Brazil, your name is Abdul Majid, and you're speaking English here. How does that work? That's very suspicious. So I told them after 3 months that I wanted to stay there. That was the first place in my life where I prayed Juma, for example. Wow. I had never done this. That was the first place in my life where I got to spend Ramadan with the brothers. Yes. That was the first place in my life where I got to spend Eid with the brothers. And then they, for me to come back to Brazil, came, and then I was feeling like really, really sad. And then I'm like, I don't want to go back. If I go back, I'll be lonely again. So I told them, look, I don't know how to do this, but I'm planning to stay here. I don't want to go back. Like, I feel comfortable here. So they have a dawah center there, and then they said, well, would you like to become our official translator? We can hire you. And then I worked for them as a translator for 1.5 years until the day came for me to leave the country because they didn't want to renew my visa anymore. Yes? Yeah. So I had to choose a new country. I didn't know where to go. They told me to spin the globe and choose the country. And I'm like, look, when I came here, I already had a lot of friends. But now for me to go to another place, it's a little more complicated because I don't know anyone. Yes? So they had a volunteer in Turkey and they told me, look, she's been living there for a while. She likes it. She's saying that it's a good place. And if you tell them that you're like a new Muslim, they'll be very nice to you. They're going to make it easy for you to stay. So I got on a plane and I came here. It was
Istanbul.
Yeah. And then I remember like getting out of the airport and like, oh my God, like what am I doing here? I'm in freaking Turkey. Like how is that going to work?
So
Then I
now
met,
you've been involved in the Dawah Center here as well, and
yeah, then I met the guys.
you've had many shahadas here, and even yesterday you had a shahada.
Yeah,
Didn't you?
like near to the Hagia Sophia. Yes,
MashaAllah.
yes, Alhamdulillah. We have a center there. One of the brothers came and he helped me, Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
And then he actually did the whole explanation and we took a
MashaAllah.
shahada there. Yes.
It's
Uh,
great work. You know, I've, as I said, I've been coming for a while now, and it's a great location for Dawah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you know,
there's
so
so many
many
tourists
tourists
coming
and-
here every day. Yeah.
And recently we met again in Qatar. We were there for the World Cup,
Yeah.
and
that
there was a
really
lot
cool.
of you know, Spanish, Portuguese speakers, obviously, because there's many teams
Yeah.
from South America and obviously Spain, Portugal as well. And
Like
so
a-
you were very busy there as well.
Yeah,
giving
like I was
dawah.
telling you a little earlier, I feel like they underestimated the number of Portuguese and Spanish like speakers that were
Yeah.
gonna come.
Yeah.
Because I was even down non-stop. I couldn't stop. Like the you know like the brothers were with me. They couldn't speak these languages, so
Yeah.
they were bringing me people all the time, and then I'm like, I
Yeah.
have to take a break, guys. That's a little hard, but alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
it was a good experience. I got to make new friends. I got to learn more about giving dawah. I learned new techniques. Yeah.
Good to see people, you know, convert to Islam and then actually give dawah.
Yeah.
You know, and you really know the importance of it, and
Yeah.
it's really good to see you so active. You know,
Well, alhamdulillah. Now, of
using
course,
your-
like it's a learning journey. Yes. So.
you're translating one of my booklets now as
Yeah,
well.
Jesus and the Injil.
Jesus and Gio, and,
Yeah, like I'm learning a lot of new
Yeah.
things from your book as well. I'll try to use it to give dawah to my mom.
I was trying to encourage you
Inshallah.
saying of the rewards, but instead I'll say, oh, you know, you don't want to get punished, so you better.
Well, yeah.
That's how I'm gonna. From now on, I'm gonna encourage you with the punishments rather than rewards.
Yeah, like these reminders they tend to work, you know, like better with
Yeah.
me because if you just put the rewards in, I'm really lazy. So we're like, okay, I don't care, I give it to someone else. But the punishments, I do want to avoid them.
So tell us about some of your experiences here in Turkey. You know, how has it been settling into Turkey? How many years have you been here?
I've been here for 2 now.
Mashallah.
It wasn't easy in the beginning because Turkey I feel like it's the opposite of Egypt. In Egypt, people are nice, but the government is tough to deal with. But in Turkey, the government is a little more, you know, like generous in how they deal with you as a foreigner. But people on the street, like if you're not in their circle, at least that was my experience. Yes, they are not as nice to you. So
I think Istanbul is just like any big city, you know, in the world.
Oh,
Like,
but come
generally
on!
big
I felt
cities
something here that I had never felt it anywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
like
for me in Bursa, I live in Bursa.
yeah,
It's very different.
yeah.
I do
I've been
feel
to
different
Bursa.
when
yes, it is a different.
when I come
feeling.
when I come to Istanbul. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in a big city again. It's
But
just like
then I feel like if you come here not knowing anyone, that's one thing. But when you have Turkish friends to introduce you to their friends, it changes everything.
okay, yeah.
Yes. For the first 2 months that I was here, I was done. Like mentally, physically, I was exhausted. And then I was just thinking, well, I maybe should go back to Brazil. This is not working out for me. But then I met the guys from this center. There is a group of foreigners who live in Turkey. I remember like going there one day and complaining about life, just getting things off of my chest, and then telling them, look, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, it's just not working here. And then the people from this center, they saw my message and they invited me over to meet them. And then I came here and they were really nice. One, they speak different languages, which is not something normal outside. Yeah. And two, they are very polite and they love it when you're coming from a different place because you have new experiences to share with them. Yeah. So I became friends with them. I kept coming back and forth for a whole year. And then a few months ago, they told me that they needed like a Spanish speaker and a Portuguese speaker. Yeah. So they invited me to come and become a volunteer here. And this is how I came here. Alhamdulillah. Yes.
Mashallah.
It's a nice place. It was just like the Egyptian one, but the story, you know, like the background story changes a little, but the end result is the same. Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
The main difference I would say is that in Egypt I was giving online dawah. Yes, that was the focus, electronic
Okay.
dawah. But here I actually have to go to the mosque and talk to people. I go to the center in Hagia Sophia. They come to us there, which is a little easier. Yeah. But it's nice. It gave me new skills, I would say. Yeah.
What advice would you give to your to the Brazilians?
Okay, don't.
like non-Muslims?
Yes, don't believe everything that you see on television. It's not always true. Yeah, sometimes you see bad things. You know, people from the West saying bad things about Islam, and you're like, oh, these guys are gonna come here. They want to hate their wives. They want to change their girls. They want to change the culture and do all of these things. Look, it's something else. There are a lot of things in our culture that already come from Islam. Remember, Portugal and Spain were
Yeah.
Andalus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we inherited a lot of things from Islam, but we don't know about them because nobody
Yeah.
teaches us they came
Yeah.
from Islam. Yeah. So give it a try. Even if you're not looking to convert, just read about it and try to educate yourself so that you will knock down these barriers, these mental
Yeah.
barriers. Like Muslims are
Yeah.
nice and they are not, you know, like scary like the media tries to portray them.
Mashallah. And obviously you as well, you're well traveled, so I think traveling also helps, doesn't it?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
becoming more open-minded.
I feel like really bored when I talk to people from Brazil because you know, like when you're talking to people from your own country, like there's nothing to talk about. Maybe like you like once you get past the introduction part, like you're just like, okay, now what? There's this awkward silence. But when you're talking to people from different places, you always have something new to learn and to teach because they also want to learn about you.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Mashallah.
it's a nice experience.
SubhanAllah, Allah mentions in the Quran that He created us from different tribes.
So
You know,
yeah,
so we can know each other.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and come familiar with each other, and
I feel a very
It's a
good
positive
connection
thing.
with the brothers here.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Yes,
mashallah.
it's an international center at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair. It's been a pleasure catching up with you.
Well, yeah,
And,
nice to meet you, brother.
Is there any final things you'd like to mention?
No, I think we're good
Yeah?
for now. Yes,
So, you know, we ask Allah to...
stay blessed. Yes.
Alhamdulillah, we ask Allah to accept all your dawah and assist you in your dawah. And Jazakallah khair. We
But
hope
yeah,
people get benefit.
nice to meet you, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء